Today, the old rabbit is getting something that I've wanted to install on this guy for a very long time. So I've been working with my tuner trying to get the tune situated on this guy with the new turbo, and for some reason my injection pump timing is not tracking correctly. We've both determined that it's most likely an internal pump issue. So I've got this big, beautiful 11mm pump here, fresh off the rebuild stand that I'm going to be tossing into this guy. It's a relatively simple cut and dry job, but I'll bring you guys along here with me. Pardon a little bit of raspiness here. I literally just got over like a sore throat and sinus thing. Took like 3 days for me to feel halfway normal again. But I'll do my best to talk at y'all. Probably going to leave the hood on for this adventure here. Gonna get gloved up for this job so I don't get all grody. Luckily, all of this stuff will come apart pretty easy here since it's all been apart recently. Get these injection pump lines off first. I'll pull off this air filter mount here. Give me some more room for the timing belt setup. Oh no, I dropped a nut. Get this air filter out the way. Get this cover off of here so I can access all my pulleys. Got to get the valve cover off of here so I can attach my timing tools in order to time the pump correctly. Next up, I got to get the vacuum pump off here so I can attach my timing tool. Got the old vacuum pump off there so I can slide my slotted tool in there. Pull the old dipstick out because it likes to get in the way. Move this radiator hose on the other side so I can access all my bolts here. Get these injection pump lines the rest of the way off here to access all my mounting bolts. All right, next thing I gotta do is get this guy to TDC and get my timing pins in there. Grab this valve cover off so I can check out where my cam lobes are sitting. So the whole timing stuff on this is actually pretty simple. I have to reach up underneath here to turn the motor over. By hand, of course, with a ratchet. So the cam lobes on the #1 piston need to both be facing up here. All right, both of the cam lobes here are facing up, nice and flat. Now I gotta slide my timing pin in the other side here. So the timing tools here is just this flat cam lock plate and this pump pin. So I'm gonna basically lock the crank at TDC and lock the pump at TDC. Still have to move the engine just a little bit in order to slide my tool in there. All right, so I have the cam lock in place, and since I have to pull the pulley off of the pump here, I'm not going to be able to put the tool in until I go to do the assembly. So next step, I'm going to release the tension on the belt and remove the pulley for the pump before I take the pump mounting bolts off. Get my little electric ratchet here, get this pulley off. Take a little weebly wobbly and pulley. This guy weighs a lot. So now that the pulley's off here, I have access to the mounting bolts on the pump, and we'll use the electric untightener again. 3 bolts. Next up here, I gotta take the wiring off and get these lines off. Wiring is a pain as always. And now to get these lines off. First off, we'll pop the return line, then the supply line. Bada boom, bada bang. Both them bad boys are off. All right, next up, there's one more mounting bolt holding this guy on here. Nice, quick, simple, easy job so far, huh? And I'm gonna use a wrench on this guy. Mounting bolt 3. And the pump is out. Well, so far so good on this guy. I'm gonna take this new pump and get her slid in there. Like I said, this is a pretty cut dry operation, just a removal and replace. All right, get this guy in here. I'll start this back mounting bolt hole here first. Now I can tell I'm gonna have to switch the inlet supply fitting for sure. But for now, get the rest of these mounting bolts in and get everything torqued down where she's supposed to live. Quite honestly, the hardest part about this job isn't the removal and the replaceal, it's actually the timing of the pump, which if you've never timed one of these before, they can be kind of complicated. All depends on if you need the proper tools, really. All right, I'm gonna get this inlet supply fitting installed on here. And it looks like they gave me extra sealing washer for that, which is awesome. And since I'm here with this back fitting off, I'm just gonna slide that guy on, get it installed real quick. So this here is the inlet supply. It's just a barb fitting. Got a torque spec of 22 foot-pounds on this guy, which is 264 inch-pounds. Beep. Next up, I'm gonna get this pulley reinstalled on here. And this does have a proper and improper way. So, all right, now that I got the pump pulley put on here, I'm gonna get the pump locked down at TDC, and then I'll get my belt reinstalled here. All right, so I got my pump pin in here, and I got the pulley centered as best as possible. So I'll get it started on my other pulleys here. All right, fellas, so I missed this part on video, but I loosened the cam pulley here because that's the procedure that you need to do in order to time this properly. So I've got it loosened here. Alrighty, so I've got my crank pulley loose here. I've got my pump pulley loose here, and I've got my tensioner loose. So I'm gonna make sure that my engine is on TDC, and then I'm gonna tighten down my tensioner, tighten down my cam, and then tighten down my pump. And hopefully the pump's in a spot that it'll run so I can set the static timing. So the engine has to move just a scooch to be at TDC. It's really hard to show the mark down in there, but I'm just gonna trust that you guys are trusting me on this. All right, I've got the engine at TDC now. So I'm gonna get this tensioner pulley tensioned up here. And again, it's really hard to kind of show what I'm doing down in here. All right, I got that torque down where she needs to go. There's a little like tension gauge on the tensioner. Again, really hard. I'm not going to be able to show you guys down in there, but this is the tensioner. And basically I had to tension the belt up to the proper spec here. So now I'm going to go and tighten or torque per se, the cam sprocket, and then torque the pump down here. Get my lines and everything reinstalled. And there we go. She is torquing down there. No beep beep on that guy, just a normal torque wrench. Alrighty, now that that is torqued, I can get these injection pump lines back on here. Now that the lines are on but still loose at the top, I'm good to reinstall the valve cover here. For now, just set this guy on here. Now the pump sprocket bolts are still loose over here. I'm gonna get this vacuum pump reinstalled here because if you try to do anything, it will just puke oil everywhere and it's not pretty. Good to go here. Next step on the agenda is to get this pump pulley deal snugged down. So two things that I still have to do before I try to start this guy is I'm going to manually rotate the engine 1 revolution to make sure nothing's hidden. You always want to do that after you time an engine. And then I'm going to pre-fill the injection pump so it's not going to be dry starting it. It's still going to have to prime and everything, but I at least want to get some fluid in there so it's not completely dry. So I've got my vacuum pump hooked up here to the return line off of the fuel filter. And I'm basically just applying vacuum until I have solid fuel coming out of the return line of the pump, knowing that it's full. This does take a moment to do. All right, so I know that the timing's gonna need fine-tuned on this, but I have all of the air out of the fuel system, so it should fire up. I'll give her a little crank here. Right, so it did fire up. I'm going to get the air filter back on this guy, get the crankcase filter back installed, and then I have to let it warm up to temperature before I can get the laptop hooked up to it to do the fine tweaking on the pump tuning. This air filter back in here. I should be able to get to my pump bolts and whatnot. All right, I got the air filter installed. Everything tightened down there. I might have to take this off to actually do my pump timing, but we'll see. I'm going to pull it outside, let it warm up a little bit while I get my laptop hooked up to it. So actually, I have an extra fuel filter here, and I decided since I got a fresh pump, I should install a fresh fuel filter on the guy. This will require me to bleed it out a little bit more again, but ain't nothing we can't handle here. I'm actually trying to go to a car show tonight, so I'm on a, I want to say minor time crunch with this, but there we go. Fuel filter. And I got a fresh man filter here. Slid in here. Get all these hose clamps tightened back down. Should fill up pretty quickly. The good thing is the injection pump is still going to be primed, and it's only the filter that we're dealing with right now. Oh, look, we got fuel. Good to go. All right, now I'll get it pulled outside.
I can definitely tell that the timing's a bit off on that guy, just the way she's running, but I can't tune it until it's warmed up, unfortunately. It's kind of a design flaw if you ask me, but I'll get the computer hooked up on the interior there and get it ready for when it is up to that temperature.
Got the old laptop here. It's not quite up to temperature yet, but I'm gonna get everything pulled up. All right, got connection with the ECU, and I am going to clear the codes because I figured the start of injection deviation here. We're gonna log in, password. We're gonna go to basic settings. Basic settings 0 gets me to my timing chart. TDI timing, and I am way too advanced here. So I'm gonna have to retard it back down a little bit, and I know that much before it's even up to temperature, so I'm going to get her shut down and get it retarded a little bit. I'm gonna take this air filter off just to make life a little bit easier. Right like so. And I know I have to retard the pump timing, which is gonna turn this pulley counterclockwise, and it has to go a little bit, so, and I'll give that a try. Basically, this procedure is just kind of a spray and pray method. You adjust it a little bit, check it in the computer, adjust it a little bit, check it in the computer. Sometimes I actually go too much with this, but we shall see. Bring it all back in here with me. I'm gonna leave the air filter off for now. Sounds a little bit better already, honestly. Get back into my login here. All right, we are still too advanced, it appears. It wants to be around 60 and it's at 125. Let's see if she fires back up. Oh, I actually think it's too retarded. And she's smoky. So in my guess, it's gonna be too retarded now. Kind of a slow startup like that makes me think that it's retarded. Same with the smoke. That means the fuel is getting in too late, and some of it is actually coming out the exhaust. So my code is gone for injection timing, which is good. She's too retarded, it's not even registering, so. I'm hoping this is my last adjustment here. I've done this like 6 times so far. I wish there was a better way than spray and pray with this stuff, but there ain't. Honestly, just pretty satisfied it started the first time there for me, and sounds pretty good now. Get logged back on here. Perfect, right on the middle line. Can't ask for better than that. Even though we're not fully up to temperature yet, I'm still gonna run with that because we're basically there. Basically up to temperature, so. Sweet. I'm gonna get the air filter back on here and we'll take it for a drive. All right, let's take this thing on a test drive. She's all buttoned up. Sweet.